Hey, everybody, welcome back to Conversations in Ken's Cafe. I'm your host, Ken Somerville. Today, excuse me, today I want to talk about Mother Nature's best kept secrets for growing. So, for people that have been watching our channel for a while, you're going to know what that best kept secret is. For those people who are brand new to our channel, we're going to get into that in a moment. We're just going to let a few more people jump on. Hey, Lily. Hey, David. And Jess and Bean. Great to see you here. Glad that you could join us today. So, secrets are a trick in a lot of ways because everything runs in a set pattern for how things grow. Hey, Be the Arrow, Mad Dog. Glad to see you guys here. And Silly Lily has it pretty much right, and it's the same as above my head. It's all about the biology, but understanding that and knowing, understanding why it's all about the biology is where I want you guys to really grasp the knowledge and understanding. And that boils down to, how does a plant grow? How do we grow? How does an animal grow? That all boils down to cell division. If you're growing, say, a cannabis plant, a tomato plant, any type of plant, it's an organic life form. And all organic life forms rely on the division of cells to grow. Hi, David. Without cell division, you have no growth. So you have no stalk growing, you have no leaf growing, you've got nothing happening. So in the research, I took it back so far. I jumped into the rabbit hole and I scraped around the bottom and I found some wormholes because I'm a why guy. I want to know why. Why does that work that way? So I kept digging until I found out. I found out that cell division is in control of everything. Without cell division, we don't have plants. We don't have us because we rely on cell division as well. So who controls cell division? And now this is the real true, the secret, if you want to put it that way, is who's in control of the cell division itself. And I found that in the S phase, which is before RNA, before DNA, before any of those expressions, you need the cell itself, the space structure, to be created. So you can look at it as from a car, let's say, okay? That's the car before you pick the paint color and, if you want a different stereo system, that's your RNA, DNA, okay? Those are the specifics, but the base structure, that's the cell. Think of it as a house. Hey, Bigfoot, it's the same basic principle. The house has to be up, the foundation, the walls, the roof, everything has to be put into it, the electrical system, your heating and ventilation, all that stuff is part of what's called the dried in stage, okay? We need that base structure to be there before we can do the RNA and the DNA, before we put in the different paint color, we need that base foundation. That's the S phase of cell division. And that S phase relies on having two things, okay? One, it needs a workforce. It needs the workforce that grabs molecules of water and boron and calcium and carbon, etc., to make that structure, to put it all together and have the mechanics inside of the cell that's going to operate that cell, whether that's a top of the leaf where it's grabbing photons of light and converting that into energy for more growth, but it needs that base foundation. It needs the workforce to put it all together. So where do the materials come from for that to be put together? So when you look deeper and deeper into these things in our bodies, it's actually our gut microbiome. It's our gut biology that breaks down the food we consume to be able to be used to develop new cells in our body, whether that's heart cell, a liver cell, a hair cell, maybe not so gray, some back to some more red and dark, but you need the components. Now, in our soils, that comes from sand, silt, clay, and organic material that the biology in our soil mines for the different components. So a grain of sand has, selenium in it, it has silica in it, it's got all these different components in one single grain of sand, but you need the biology there to mine that grain of sand. Hey, Bubble Magic, without the biology to mine that, you can't get those components out of that grain of sand to be given to the biology to build that new cell. So you need the biology to create the building material for the new cell for your plant. Then you need the biology there to use that material to build that new cell. So really, that is the main secret for growing anything, whether that's a plant or an animal, a human being, a fish, it doesn't matter. All organic life forms rely on the same thing, that cell division. And it's specifically the S phase before RNA, before DNA. You have to have that foundation. Before you can move in the house, you want the plumbing in, you want the electrical in, you want to be able to, walk in and flip the lights on and you be able to see. That's what that basic cell division of the S phase is. Then once that is built, and once it's created, then it gets the RNA, the DNA. Okay, for the top of the leaf, where am I looking for the photons? Am I looking in the higher ranges? Am I looking in the whites, the blues, the reds? What tone of light, what photon am I going to gather? That's the RNA and DNA. The base structure's already been built. The specific tuning, okay, is what comes after. So that's the basic secret that you need to understand to grow anything. Whatever you grow, however you grow, just grow. Okay? Plant, animal, it doesn't matter. Everything comes back to gathering the materials, which is done by the biology, and then putting it all together, which is, again, done by the biology. That's where, I came up with the name for our channel. It's all about the biology. Because at that level of growth in your plant, you need to have that biology. So to have success, true genetic potential for your plants, you shouldn't be focused on growing the plant. You need to focus on growing the biology, which means you need to supply that biology as many different components as possible. Because, okay, if you're building a house, you want to build it out of 2x4s, 2x6s. You want strong materials. You don't want to build it out of 1x4s. Okay, it's not going to stay together. The big bad wolf's going to come on and it's going to blow your house over. You want strong. So you need to supply as many materials as you can. That's where you need the sand, the silt, the clay, and the organic material. The organic material is where a lot of the biology is going to live. That's going to be their homes. Same with the sand. They're mining that. They're living on that grain of sand too. A microbiology, guys, think about it. Okay. That one little grain of sand where we think it's just so small to a microbiology, that's a whole planet. And it's got different areas on it where there's different miners. It's like, the iron mine is over here, the coal mine is over there. This is what the biology is saying. Hey, it's so fascinating to me, okay, that we as a human species think we're the apex predator, okay? We're so much further advanced, yet it's the biology building my heart cells, okay? It's my body's actually built and controlled by biology. I don't control it, okay? It's just happening. I just stuff my mouth with, whatever my wife cooks for me, and that's what my body's getting for the nutrients. And then I make sure that I'm bringing enough biology into my body. You're growing your garden. The more biology you're putting in the soil, the more biology and building materials go into the plant. So when you consume that plant, you're getting the biology, you're getting those building blocks for your biology to break down out of that, piece of salad or steak or whatever you're eating, to using your body to grow and produce your healthy cells. But it all starts in the soil. It all starts with that biology building the cells for your plant. Growing is an amazing adventure that can bring so much joy and happiness. It can bring so much health and vitality into our lives, both physically, as in healthy bodies, emotionally, as in, sitting in your Zen garden and meditating, or just sitting there enjoying, sitting there watching your kids run around and play soccer and on this lush, vibrant grass. It can bring so much joy, so much health, so much wellness by growing these plants in such a way where they're vibrant, they're blue-green, they're so lush, healthy, and especially for, your kids, your pets, you're not spraying any chemicals. You're spraying biology. You're spraying building components, okay? That's not going to make your kids sick. Hey, Marshall, artist, your kids aren't going to get sick. Your dog's not going to get sick. You're not going to get sick because you're not using components that will make you sick. This is one of the keys to our health and our wellness, for our planet's health and wellness, our plants' health and wellness, our animals' health and wellness. We want to focus on growing out biology, because remember, it's the biology that grows the plant. The plant is not in control of what's going on. Just like I'm not in control. I'm not telling my body, I need another heart cell built. No, I'm just consuming the food. The plant is consuming the food that's brought to it through the biology, or better yet, it's the biology consuming that for use in growing more biology or more workforce or more cells that are going to make your plant larger and larger and larger. And that tomato is going to get, larger and riper. And, all of a sudden it's going to be going, eat me, eat me, eat me. Okay. And it's going to be healthy for you. It's going to have the components your body needs to be healthy in that tomato or in that carrot, in that potato, in that lettuce, all these things that we're growing for our health. So by making the soil biology healthy, we're making our gut biology healthy, and it's a circle of life that's happening every single day on this planet, everywhere. Okay, whether it's in the ocean, whether it's in the air, whether it's in the soil, it's all connected. Where the more healthy biology we have, the healthier the planet is, the healthier the crops are, the healthier the animals are. Hey, Shooting the Soil, and you're on in 2 weeks, man. We got Yellow Skunk Farms coming on Monday with Leighton. We're going to see his professional grower. He's got a stream running in his indoor grow. You guys aren't going to want to miss this. But back to that cell division, back to that true secret. I sit here, guys, for hours in a day thinking of how things are connected at that cellular level. I think about different ways to explain to people how the cell division really works, how biology is building all of this, creating all of this. What we have to understand is in our planet's history, there's a substance called lignin. Okay, lignin is a self-perpetuating food source for biology. It's material that has been created that the biology doesn't need to have access to light and photosynthesis, etc. It can consume this and survive and be healthy. That's what's happening in what they call terra preta, that beautiful soil from the Amazon, recreating itself, regrowing itself. When the farmer goes and takes some of that soil, takes it into the cities to sell for gardening, they only take so much, and the next year it's growing back. This is what lignin is. It's giving the biology that food source to replicate, to make more biology. Okay, in the history of our planet, lignin was oil. The next layer, when our planet and our biology got to the next point of being able to use more of the photons from the sun, it wasn't oil being created anymore. It was coal. So our planet has progressed from using these components, being able to self-replicate these components. But you have to have the biology to be able to do the work. That's why I'm always talking about adding biology into the mix. You don't get this from synthetics. You don't get the focus on biology from that, because they're pushing only certain components. They're only pushing 2x2s to build your house with. Okay? You want a full spectrum. You want 2x2s, 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s, 8x8s. You want big logs to build your log home. So make sure that you're supplying that, making it available. That's where sand, silt, clay, organic material. These are 4 components you want to add into your soil system. You want to put in clay if you're in a heavy sand mix in your soil. If you're in a heavy clay soil, like I am in Alberta, Canada, I got lots of clay, baby. Okay, doesn't drain worth a damn. I need to add sand and silt in order to fluff that up, to make it a true soil, not dirt. Okay. I need to add sand and silt into my mix and organic material. Okay. So I cut my grass. I use a mulching blade so that the organic material gets blown down, covers the soil because we want a mulch layer to hold in the moisture. And that organic material, the biology is going to take that. It's going to live there. It's going to break that material down, and it's going to feed it back into the biology, growing more grass, more cells for that grass to get taller and taller and taller. It's all the same. So don't remove that organic material. You want to keep that organic material, keep it as a mulch, put it in your compost so you can bring it back into your structure. But if you're removing that, if you're raking your grass, you're raking your clippings, okay, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing the biology a disservice. You're taking it away. You're allowing the sun and the wind to get down to the soil surface and draw off the moisture. You're going to be drying it out. There's no protection there against that. That's where you don't want to do that. Now, in the fall, you want to rake up your leaves. Do it. Or do what I do. I'll just run my mulching mower off and I break up that organic material into small fines and I put it down into the soil structure. Rake it up, put it in your compost. Make sure you're not getting rid of it. You don't want to get rid of any organic material off of your property. You want to keep that in. That's your bank account. That's pure gold. You want to keep that because the biology needs that organic material. Think about it, my friends. That leaf, that tree who's got a taproot, maybe 50, 100, 200 feet deep into the soil, or it's drawing moisture up. It's drawing nutrients up. It's drawing building blocks up from that depth, from a depth that hasn't seen the light of day for millions of years. It's able to draw boron, calcium, etc., whatever's so deep down there. It's able to draw that, to grab those, bring them up to the surface to be able to grow that leaf. Remember, it's the biology taking those components and putting them into the cells of that leaf. That leaf falls down in the winter. Mother Nature has designed it to be broken down by the biology and put back into the system, back into that tree. The tree needs X, Y, and Z components specifically for that tree. That tree is drawing up a certain magnesium, let's say, an extra molecule of magnesium needed for every single cell in that tree. That's its specialty. Okay, just like dandelions, great for calcium. Okay, but when you break that down, when the biology breaks the molecules out of that leaf structure and it breaks those cells down so that it can recycle the components that are in there, both for building more biology, more workforce, but for building that next leaf that is going to need or be needed by that tree to grab photons of energy to help that tree keep surviving, keep flourishing the next year. It's easier for that to happen than for the biology to mine it out of the sand, silt, clay, and organic material, to mine it out of straight rock. Okay. It's easier to take that organic that's already been mined, all those components that are already in the system, and recycle them. We talk on our planet a lot about recycle, whether it's plastic bottles or cans or, plastics and papers and, recycle everything. Well, Mother Nature's been doing this. We just keep taking the materials she wants to recycle off of our lawns, out of our gardens, putting it over there, sending it to the garbage. That is what we don't want to do. We want to keep that. We want to make that into compost to put back on. We want to keep that as mulch for our system. Then we want to, if we can, bring on more. The more, the better. I haven't ran across anyone that has gotten more than 8 or 10 or 12% organic material in their soil that says, "Oh, I don't want any more. No, I don't want any more organic material." No, they're going, "No, I want more, because I want more biology breaking that material down, because that means more biology building new cells in this next plant I'm growing." The more the workforce, the faster things get done. You don't build a house in a day with one person, but you can build a house in a day with 100. 100 people working together can put up that house in a day, like bang, right away. It's done. As long as you have the building materials, dang, it's built. That's what we want for, the plants that we're growing. We want that huge workforce to be available to mine, then to transport, and to put together the different cells of our plant. We want our plant to grow, to flourish. That's the secret. The biology, the more organic material, the more sand, silt, clay in the right balance. Okay. And remember, Mother Nature loves her balance. Okay. You don't want to overbalance with too much calcium, too much magnesium. You want things to be in balance, to harmonize in the system that Mother Nature has created. But if you're taking your organics away, you're taking part of that out. You don't want to do that. You want to give the biology the opportunity to have as many different components as possible in your soil, so that it can make something that is very rare. Maybe it needs a molecule of, radon, okay, a little bit of radiation, just to tweak that cell to do just a little bit different, but it reaches its full genetic potential. That's the key, is you can unlock that by having the materials there, by having the biology there that can use that material. That's where I love things like Korean natural farming, because you take normal things like eggshells for water soluble calcium. You take your eggshells, you crush them up, you actually cook them, and that helps to break the molecular bonds when you're cooking them, so that when you put them into a vinegar, whether that's a brown rice vinegar or apple cider vinegar, anything with a mother culture, because it's that mother culture that's all biology, okay? That culture, that biology goes in, breaks the calcium out of the eggshells. It's a natural process. It makes it into a water soluble, so it's easily foliar applied. So instead of the biology having to break calcium out of, the carbon in your soil, or out of the sand, the silt, and the clay. You're spraying it on in a foliar with it being in a water column, easily used and grasped by the biology that's in the leaves, building the new leaves. You take out some steps. We talk, about transport costs for our food. Food coming from, say Australia to Canada. That's a huge distance to travel. Well, just think of it for your plants, where we're talking microbiology moving this stuff around, guys. Like an inch is a long way for a biology. Okay, so if you're doing a foliar spray of the, say the water soluble calcium, then it doesn't have to go through that processing. It's not costing anything to bring that material up from the soil structure. It's there and readily available. That's one of the things with, foliar feeding and helping the plant and the biology to get everything there when it's needed. Hey, Fried Piper, it's there. Cake in a cup, Australia. Yeah, in the house. It's there. It's easily grabbed. There's no ATP, which is the energy cycle of our plant, of our biology. We don't have to expend that energy. We don't have to put diesel in that big truck going down the highway to bring that calcium over. It's there. You're spraying it right there. And the key is, guys, it's not just the calcium molecules that are there. It's the biology that's broken that calcium out of that eggshell. So it's the biology that knows how to do that job. And as we've learned from Dr. James White with horizontal gene transfer, that same biology just takes off the miner's cap and puts on the construction cap, and all of a sudden it can use that calcium to help the biology that's building that cell. It can step in as an extra workforce because that's what it's doing. It's working with calcium. It's like a metal worker, okay, can, build something. They can tear something down. They're a metal worker. They can use that metal. That's what they're there. So the biology that's broken that calcium down out of the eggshell is the biology that can use that calcium to build back what it was already been broken down. So these are a lot of little secrets, but the main secret is understanding that S phase of cell division. It's that foundation of all organic life. When you start to really grasp that, and it can take a long time to really go, like, yeah, it really is about the biology, but ingesting it, because we've been told for decades, oh, the plant does this, the plant does that, the plant's making, exudates, and the biology inside the cells make the exudates. It's the biology in that cell that gathers the energy, whether that's from sunlight or from other energies that's available to it, pulls in these molecules, puts them together in a specific way that creates the exudate. It isn't just something that, is all of a sudden thrown together. No, it's specific. As we understand, science has discovered that different exudates are put out through the plant. And I said through the plant, not by the plant. It's the biology that creates those exudates, creates those amino acids by drawing the components together to put out into the soil structure as an exudate, to gather materials, because 90% of that exudate that the plant puts out is drawn back into the plant. So in our minds, if you've ever thought of a river system that transports say, grain down to the coast and then brings other stuff back up to the cities along the route as for shipping and receiving. That's what's happening, guys. Look at it from that perspective of that exudate is, the fuel that goes down. It's the river that goes down, takes some material downstream, but then it comes back up and brings more material back up. Hey, Rhythms, it's thinking of it in those ways that we don't think about, that you really start to understand how this stuff works. It's like the predator-prey model that I keep bringing up, and that's going to be something we're going to be talking more about, because in that predator-prey model, we're going to start introducing the higher life forms, your arthropods, those little bugs you see running around in your compost or through your mulch, those little critters that are running around, breaking that stuff up, making it smaller and smaller and smaller, because a cell only needs, one or two molecules of, say, boron for the healthy cell, but that leaf is too big for the biology to use in that new cell, and it's got to be all broken down. That's where your higher life forms, your worms, your arthropods, moving up into your birds, that cycle has to be built and maintained. And we're going to be having shows on that, specifically, the different bugs that you need to start creating that ecosystem. We had Bohemian on. We showed her garden, what she has done to create that. She's creating that ecosystem. Once we have the foundation built, we want to put the walls up. That's getting the next level of that ecosystem happening, which is the bugs. As we had Claude Roberts on a few days ago, talking about the different bugs that he's seeing. And yeah, quorum sensing is the foundation for all bacterial activity. Yes and no. Quorum sensing can create biology that does not exist in a soil structure. So if you need, you have a tomato plant and you need boron, okay, tomato plants rely on boron. That's one of the things they need. If there's no boron in that soil structure, quorum sensing happens, and the biology that's needed to create the boron, to mine the boron, say out of the sand silt clay, can actually be developed when the biology gets together and does the quorum sensing. It can create the biology that doesn't exist in that soil structure to go out and mine that soil structure so that that tomato plant can have access to that boron. Higher life forms can be quorum sensed as well. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but in nature, in the progression of life on our planet, that's what has happened, is things have been created that weren't there, but were needed. A new type of bee has come in, because bees started, the wasps were first. How the hell did we get the honeybee? That's quite the genetic mutation. But if you take in quorum sensing into the thing and how it's reading all these different genetic profiles, and then it's gathering all the materials together to build new microbiology, it's building new cells. It's creating new options for your car. Oh, I want air conditioning. I want heated seats, or I want air conditioned seats if you're living in California. Okay. It's those options, and quorum sensing can create those options. And all of a sudden you have worms that you didn't have in your soil structure, worms that haven't been seen in decades in your fields. Where did they come from? They weren't just flowing in. Some neighbor didn't come along and throw a bunch of worms out into your field, and yet you haven't seen worms for 20, 30 years in that field, and yet all of a sudden you have worms. That's a part of quorum sensing. And yeah, bacteria are that foundation. That's your aquatic bacteria. It doesn't need oxygen. Everything came out of that soup out of the ocean and created this next step of life. And it's that growth. And the bacteria can, manipulate the genetic sequencing of itself to go from, the electrician to the plumber. We know that. We've seen that through, Dr. White's work, that this is how things are happening. Like, this is so fast. He's literally had to step back from that depth of understanding to look at more, wholesale grouping of that biology. Okay, protozoa. Well, the protozoa does, all these different jobs, but it's a protozoa. This bacteria does this, but it also does all of these jobs because it can change into those. That's such a wonderful thing that, we're discovering now, getting the technology to see these things and then looking and going, oh my God, like that's too deep. Okay, I can't understand it. I don't have the technology available yet to really understand that. So I have to step back, and let's try to figure this part out first. That's what this whole channel is about, is figuring out this biology, how it works, how it grows things, how it grows us, our plants, our animals, how it mines the different components, how there's biology, so much biology in every breath that we take. Every inhalation has a multitude, millions, trillions, quadrillions of biology in each breath going into our lungs, landing on our skin. We talk about, getting out in the sunlight to have, drawn out those photons through our skin. Well, what's in our air? What are we breathing? What's landing on our skin? The healthier we are, the healthier our skin is. If there's bad stuff landing on your skin, you want to be healthy. You want vibrance. You don't, want to be killing that biology that's protecting you. Like, we talk about what's on the outside of a fish, that slime that's being a second stomach for the fish as it swims through the water. It's literally grabbing material from the water column, digesting it and putting it into its body. Well, we're doing the same thing. We just don't have that slime that we see on the fish, but everything that lands on our skin can be absorbed into our bodies. So if you've ever watched, shows like CSI, there was one episode in particular where someone had died. They were living in a room and it had a vent and there was buses going by and they died from asphyxiation from the carbon coming off the diesel buses. They were breathing that in. And that's what killed them. What environment are we living in? And can we change that? Can we put, a whole bunch of houseplants in that New York apartment that's, surrounded by smog? Can we clean the air that we breathe? And damn rights we can. You can do it. You can create your microenvironment in your apartment, help you be healthy and vibrant because you're able to clean that air using the plants that are in your house, that you're growing in your house. I'm lucky. I live like, 50 kilometers, 30 miles away from, a city. Okay, I'm just close to a small town. I don't have the light pollution at night. I can see the stars, but I don't have those, constant traffic where, that is being created in the environment around me. I'm really quite fortunate to be living out, closer to nature, to be away from that. But for people that are stuck there, do what you can to change your indoor environment. And we've got lots of grow lights, cheap grow lights now that will give enough photons to your house plants to make them healthy. But remember, they need the biology. They don't need city water, okay? Because city water is designed to kill biology when they recycle the city water to put it into your tap, okay? They're adding chemicals to kill the biology because they don't want salmonella and all these other things, in their wastewater treatment. So they're killing that biology. If you use that city water on your plants, guess what? You're killing the biology in your soil. You're killing the biology in your plant. So, there's ways to get around that. You can get filters that will filter out the chloramine and the chlorine and a lot of the other things that they're putting into the water. You can guys can figure that out. You can do your own research. If you're doing it in your yard, I know that we promote Blue Sky Biochar because he's got a water filter you put onto your hose. Those are different options, but understanding that it's all that true secret is the biological component that has to be there. No cell is going to be created without the biology that's doing the work. That's the foundation. That's the true best kept secret for growing is grow biology. Let the biology do their job and build the plant. And you can be absolutely amazed when you take out that thought process of it's the plant, it's the plant, it's the plant. Understand that it's the biology, it's the biology, it's the biology, focusing on creating the environment that is necessary for the biology to be healthy, to proliferate, to be so strong and vibrant that when it grows that cell in your plant, puts it all together, it's like, wow, that's a cell. Okay. Our skin cells, every one of these things on my hand is multi millions and billions and trillions of cells. I want the healthiest cell I can have. That starts in our soils. That starts in the foundation of what keeps us alive, the food that we consume that comes from the soil. If you're, more leaning to the carnivore like I do, eat a lot more animal protein, that starts in the soil. It starts with what is that animal eating? What's it ingesting? Is that healthy? Is that full of biology? Was that growing with the biology so that when it goes through that cow and I eat that cow, am I getting those building blocks? For my health, it's all about those building blocks and having the biology, the workforce to build those healthy cells. Plant, animal, human, bird, fish, it doesn't matter if it's an organic life form. It relies on that cell division. Guys, think of that when you're out there putting your grow area together, your garden together, your field together, your horse pasture, your sheep pasture, your cattle pasture. How can I put in more biology and more building blocks for the biology to use to build more healthy cells? Don't grow plants, grow biology. Okay? The more biology you grow, the more you're putting in organic material, the more you're adding the sand, silt, and clay, the more balanced things are, the more vibrant things are, both in yourself, in your plant, in your field. When you walk out and you look at your lawn, and all of a sudden it's that blue green, it's that just deep and lush, and it's creating that beautiful scent of air in your lungs. And I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but I've experienced it where I've walked into an area and it's like it's got more oxygen, because it does. Okay, it has more that is being processed. It's taking more, CO2 out of the air, processing it and creating the oxygen that we need to breathe. Focus on the biology. You're focusing on the life of our planet. You're focusing on what's going to keep this planet healthy and happy and vibrant. We need to bring that back up. Our level used to be up here, and now it's way down here where you can't even see my hand. We need to get it at least up here, guys. Okay? We need to start creating that environment where the animals are going to come back. I'm doing, not so much a garden as a pollinator garden on my property, using perennial plants that are bringing, different life forms back in, different layers of, arthropods and bugs and birds. I'm hearing birds I've never heard before. Okay, and it's still got white stuff on the ground out there. Like, we got a foot and a half of snow like a week and a half ago. It's still melting, but I have new birds. I have new bird song. It's like, okay, cool. But that life, bringing that life back in, I'm creating an ecosystem on my little acreage here where the stuff that, a mile away, those bird sounds aren't there because those birds have nothing to eat there. So they're coming to my house. They're feeding on me. Hey, man, you should start paying rent, okay? But that's the life. That's creating that cycle that we need to have. Dr. Elaine Ingham, the soil food web. It's a synergistic relationship, guys. And it all boils down to the biology. It boils down to that cell division. I know it's such an easy concept, and yet it's so damn complicated. But don't let it get complicated. We don't need to know, what each thing does. Shooting the soil, Matt, okay? He shows us. He's coming on in a couple of weeks with his new microscope. He's going to show us. He's going to the biology moving around, how things work. Okay? I don't need to buy a microscope. I don't need to sit there and do that because I've got Matt. We've got Matt Powers. If you want to learn that, Matt Powers courses, that's where Matt from Shooting the Soil went to learn this. You've got this option. You can go, you can find these courses. You want to learn Korean natural farming? When we had Chris Trump on a couple of weeks ago, he's got courses on his website. You have the option to learn it. 15 years ago, that wasn't an option. Nobody knew about that stuff. Or 15, 20 years ago, I'm not sure when Chris started bringing this out in North America, but we have those options now where we can go and interact with these professionals that have studied this if we want to go that far. If we don't need to. I don't need to understand all of that because I can contact Matt and say, Matt, what the hell is this thing, man? Like, what's going on? If I need to know, how to build an engine for a car, I can go to a mechanic. I can go to a guy that specially, works on engines. Okay. We have people that are specialized. As a gardener, as a farmer, how specialized do I need to be? It all depends on you. That's right, on you. Well, how far do you want to go? How much do you need to know to make the system work? I need to know that I can make all these components. I can, and I have made, the water soluble calcium, all the green natural farming inputs. I know that, there's companies out there that have the same mindset, like Wiggle Brew, that I had on Monday. If you're looking for worm castings, etc., that's somebody I would recommend. Fish Brew is another one I would recommend. The Ensign Algae is another one I would recommend. And soon we're going to have the Muncher crew back on. Hopefully in a few weeks. They're getting to that point where they've got all this stuff figured out for how to make the Muncher fertilizer, which is, if you guys haven't heard, is a biologically active fertilizer where they're taking organic material and in 1 hour the biology is breaking it all apart and making it into a biological fertilizer that we're going to be able to use on our lawns, our gardens, our crops. Amazing thing that you can do it in an hour. You can break a leaf down in an hour into its base components. And it's those base components we need in our soils. And it's not just the base components. It's not just those molecules. It's the workforce. It's the biology that's there that broke it down. It's going to be the biology going with these components when you're spraying it down. Guys, the future is wild. I keep telling the wife, pop the popcorn, sit back and watch the show. It's going to be a wild ride over the next, while, couple of years, 3 years, 5 years, 1 month. Who knows? There's a lot of secrets that are coming out. There's a lot of information coming out that has been stifled. That's the biology was stifled. The S phase of cell division is in all of the books, but they don't talk about it the way I talk about it. They don't talk about it as the very foundation of all life on our planet. And it is. Why they don't talk about it? Yeah, well, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories. Somebody just missed it. I don't know. But guys, it is the best kept secret. The biology is the best kept secret. Understanding it the way I've explained it to you today is the best kept secret. Our future is bright. I tell the wife all the time, and many other people, observe, don't absorb. Take a look at what's going on and go, wow, okay, this is some wild stuff going on out there. But I don't need to absorb that negative energy. I'm going to keep myself grounded, balanced, happy, joyful, loving. Okay? You guys are amazing. Thank you very much, guys, that are in the chat. I know I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't looking for questions, etc. We've got another great show coming up tomorrow. I got a whole bunch of titles that I put together to make my life easier, guys. So I'm not stressed at 11 o'clock at night going, oh, what am I talking about tomorrow? We're just going to keep shooting them out there for you guys. If you guys have people you want to have come on the show, I know David has helped out a lot. There's a lot of people helping to bring Yes on. If you know someone, whether it's on IG, whether it's on YouTube, wherever that you think would be a good suit for our channel, it's all about the biology at gmail.com. It's Pretty easy email, guys. Please, you reach out to them. I don't know them from a hole in the ground. They don't know me. But if you reach out, say, Fried Piper, you reach out to a buddy that you know that has an amazing garden, get him to come on the show. Send me some pictures. We'll, take an hour to BS on the show about what they're doing, how they've done it. It's in those experiences, guys, that we can all learn and grow together. It's an amazing community. Thank you guys so much for being here. We've got some amazing people coming up. Some people that keep rebooking, like Tyler Platt from Grassroots Fabric Pots. He is going to rebook again. I've also got a quantum biologist. That's going to be a very interesting show. They're coming up. I know Kelpie Wilson for biochar. She's coming up. We've got lots of guys. Just, it's going to be an amazing journey. I'm so thankful for you guys. Operation Annihilation, overgrow the world in 2025. We are definitely going to try to make this planet illuminate the galaxy, the universe, be the gem of humanity that we can be. Guys, I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Love you all.